Nothing changes a life all at once, but something always starts it. A smile, kind word, an act of love. At Kelowna's Gospel Mission, nothing we do is simple, because even something as simple as a hot meal can start a relationship. And it's in relationships that we find community, we find belonging, and we find hope. I'm inviting you to come and see for yourself what's possible.
The first step back from despair and what people are looking for is food, and with us, food builds trust. So it's just not a meal, but if that meal is made with care and it's made with kindness and is given to you with support, you're more likely to take it. You're more likely to trust faster. The more energy you're going to have to fight colds and bacteria and things that you're going to come in contact with living at street level, now you're actually feeling better because you're nourished. If someone's going to donate money to us to buy food for our unhoused neighbors or our sheltered neighbors, our responsibility is to make sure that goes the furthest. We get given yogurt sometimes on mass amounts. We freeze to hydrate that. Now it's shelf stable forever. And then as we serve different things, we can rehydrate that back into the food that we give them. A gentleman living at street level is serving him breakfast. We asked him what his favorite meal was. And so we made it come true. And he sat down and told the stories and his connection to that dish. And he's like, this gives me hope that people still care and that they see you. And I think the big thing is they just want to be seen. And when you see them for who they are, not where they are, but who they are, it makes a difference to them.
My name is Asna, and I am the Outreach Manager. What drew me into the work is the idea of collective care and caring for one another through more of a humanitarian lens. We're all still human and we all still deserve the same kindness and respect that you and I would deserve. Every single day on the outreach team looks a little bit different. Often you'll see the outreach workers with a backpack walking up and down the streets of Kelowna offering basic needs to individuals that may not be connecting with us on a daily basis. I think outreach is actually more than just a meal. I think it actually starts with relationship. That relationship turns into conversation, and that conversation leads down a pathway of hope. And that hope, I think, is what gets us to the next day.
So KGM Community Dental started out about 20 years ago. It's basically just an emergency clinic where people would come in to get a tooth pulled that was hurting them. And now we're so much more than that. The dental clinic here means that people can access dental treatment that otherwise would not be able to afford it. We basically service from Coldstream all the way down to a Soyuz. We get a lot of people that are pre-surgical. So they're having joint replacements such as knee replacements, hip replacements, or heart surgeries that they need to survive. Because their dental issues are a problem prior to surgery, they need to have that work completed before they can get the surgery that they need.
So I'm Parveet, I'm one of the dentists here. People struggle with access to care. There's financial restrictions. People have to choose between feeding their family or getting dental care. When I found out about KGM and everything that they do here, it seemed like a great opportunity to just get into the community and give back as much as I could. So many people have pain, even just nutritional deficiencies because they're not able to chew their food. So the biggest thing is getting them to a point where they can restore just the function to chew their food. It's not just oral health, it's a stepping stone to the next point in their health journey.
My name's Erica Hawks, and I am an artist for galleries across Canada. I've always drawn, like when I was a kid I was reading or drawing, so I've always loved art, and I didn't want to be a starving artist, so I went to school actually for fashion designing, and I got a degree as a designer, and then I realized that I just wanted to be a starving artist really bad. Just a variety of artists over the years have inspired my work. Group of Seven, obviously, and the Art Nouveau movement, 1900s, late 1800s, and it was everywhere. It was in the buildings, it was just in furniture, in advertisements, and everything. I really appreciate just the flowing lines and everything. I'm happy to donate a painting, and hopefully someone donates back and gets to have a painting of mine at the end of it. I think we're all people, and I think we should care about each other regardless of where we're at in life. I just think everybody has value, and God made us all beautiful and unique in our own special ways, and we all have value. within my own family. Like I had a sister that was homeless for 2 years, so it definitely is important, and it's something that is close to my heart because I got to see her out on the streets. The idea that anybody could be there is really true. Like anybody's kid could be there. Anybody can have a low spot and have the low self-esteem and just not know how to cope with it. So that I can give to this event is super great, and I'm appreciating that I got asked.
So Evan, my name is Jordan Perkins and I'm a full-time artist. I bring animals, colorful, big, large, to life. About 10 years ago, I went to Dollarama with my daughter in the afternoon and we picked up paint supplies and I started painting, and I just kept at it. I found a guy named Voka who paints large, colorful people, and I really was drawn to that. And from that point on, I decided that big paintings is what I'm gonna do. Voka uses spontaneous realism, and I think that's still kind of how I go about it, because the paintings look like the subject that I'm trying to portray, except they're big, bright, and bold. I put out typically all the paint colors and I just start painting. Maybe sometimes the left-hand side starts out teal and by the end it's red. And I just kind of keep going and going and going and layer on layer until I'm finished. And that's why I call it the 1,000 mistakes till it's done, because you're never gonna see the first layer after layer. You'll only see the top layer. Well, the most vulnerable people need help. There's no one to help them. And I think in society, like once you're down, it's just really hard to climb back up. And a lot of time they get overlooked. Some of them just had, no family and then got a medical condition or lost their job with no one to support them. And people are just one bad step away from being on the streets.
I'm Rod Charlesworth. I've been a painter for the majority of my life, painting the Canadian landscape. Often use the term Canadian Impressionism because it's impressionistic because I'm not trying to create a hyper-real situation. I honestly believe it was in my blood because my father was an excellent drawer, and my great-grandfather was an artist. When I was in school, my math notebooks were filled with drawings. I had this visual interest. As an adolescent teenager, I was interested in the surrealists like Salvador Dali, and it was cool to try and paint those kind of images. I was very interested in the Impressionists like Van Gogh and Monet and Matisse. What really knocked me was the Group of Seven, Tom Thompson and the Group of Seven, because they were painting our rugged landscape as had never been seen before. My oldest son was a bird watcher. He does it for a living. He takes people all over the world on bird watching tours. But locally, he befriended this fella. His name was Ryan Tomlinson. He ended up on the street, and eventually he passed. I think they found him along the Greenway somewhere. There was many times we had him at our house, and he was such a nice guy, and he was going through a tough spell. It always struck me that he had that interest, and it was really deep in him. Chris would say, this guy knows birds better than I do. His eyesight's really good, and the sounds and stuff. It kind of makes it more personal when you realize that even in the face of all the stuff they're going through, they have interests, and they're human. I got my talents, and they're here in the studio, so if I can help, if I can do my part that way, I feel it's something that I want to do.
Well, my name is Shannon Cross. I paint a generally large-scale abstract art, also an abstract landscape. Bobby Burgers was and still is one of my favorite artists. And she does loose abstract florals. And she takes it to a whole nother level. You can never be the same as another artist, and you never want to be the same as another artist. But she is certainly my inspiration. Her colors, her palette, her style, everything. I think it all starts from where I'm at that day, what I'm feeling. I often put music on, Bob Marley or something like that makes me happy. I did have a career in policing, and I worked for the police in Edmonton. I met my husband there and he played hockey and he got traded. So that forced me to have to resign. Shortly after that, we lived in Europe and I went through so many galleries I had a newborn baby and that's how we passed our time. We didn't eat at our kitchen table for over a year because I always had these huge canvases. What happened when I left policing, it was sad for me because there was a hard shell and I didn't look at society the same. And I didn't mean to be that way, but at some point I realized that that was how I was looking at things. But after some time, you have to let that go. I think if I maintain softness and care for the world, I feel like I'm okay. I care about the community because it's my community, it's our community, and I don't want to walk around my city and see people suffering, because when people suffer, then it just trickles down. Crime 100% is because people are suffering. I don't want my community to be like that. I want our city to be like we thought it was when we were children. And I hope it can get that way.
So my name is Fiona Neal and I'm an abstract artist. In my childhood, painting and drawing was a secret world, I guess, that I could escape to. I did a fine art degree in the UK. When my children became school age, I returned to painting as an abstract painter. And I think we all need to connect with that thing that helps us connect with ourselves. I have a way of transposing emotions, movement, flow, energy onto the canvas. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take control away from myself. So I use big brushes, I use fluid mediums, and I use very large canvases so I can be very energetic when I'm painting. When you're using mediums that are going to drip, are going to move, you have much less control over them. It's part of our humanity, isn't it? To care about other people. My dad once said to me years ago, and I'll always remember it, when we were talking about, love and hate, and the opposite of love being hate, I think is what I was talking about. He said, no, Fiona, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love, the enemy of love, is indifference. I have the privilege to be able to choose to look away. And I choose to look, and I choose to make a difference. And I think that's what we should be doing.
Tonight is about more than just art. It's about impact. Every bid tonight is a statement that hope is stronger than hardship, that compassion is louder than indifference, that we refuse to turn away. History has shown us that real change starts with a small group of people who refuse to accept the things as they are. And tonight, that's you. Right here, right now, we are standing against despair, proving that hope is stronger, compassion is louder, that together we can make a difference. So let's make some noise. Let's bid boldly, give generously, and let's prove once again that art changes lives, that you change lives. Thank you, and welcome to Art for Impact.